on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I
for
hate these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I just want to live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Hello. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome you all to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. Happy Thursday to all of y'all out there. I got to extend this happiness to my co-host with the most, Big O. What up, Big O? Happy Thursday.
Trey Holiday. This week is almost over.
I know. It's Friday Eve, my friend. That's right. Friday Eve.
Friday Eve, indeed. I see you here in the fatigues. Go ready to do some combat community, some community combat when you leave here.
Hey, we stay on combat, baby, all day.
All right, good stuff. Good morning, everybody. Welcome you to the Morning Update Show. Reminds you that right now is the perfect opportunity for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald and also KBCS 91.3 out at Bellevue College. Want to remind everybody you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. We've got the link right there into SoundCloud, but also you can find us on Google. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and so many different podcasting apps. You can pick that up. It's no excuses season, right? Yeah. Great way to support Black-owned independent media while letting people know they need to cut the crap, especially these people running for office. Get you a no excuses shirt at whereweconverge.com/shop. Also want to remind everybody the vaccine is readily available here in King County. We put the link there in the comments as well. If you're looking for a vaccine in King County, it's everywhere just about, and all 3 vaccines are available.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, folks are out there getting it, man. I love that we're keeping the information pumping.
All right, and speaking of that, so we're into this discussion about vaccine hesitancy in our community, and we've been talking to people who have got vaccinated. I think we have a motion graphic here. You can go onto our website /post, and there's Omi. There's also the rapper producer Creeps. There's some more that are coming up today. We'll talk to some people who are like, nah, I'm good. I mean, because I think that only through really people talking about it and having more information and discussion, that people who might be on the fence and hesitancy, they might get the information they need. Either way, but I mean, not talking about it, it probably isn't helpful.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is such a time where we're all dealing with all of this, right? COVID coming, us trying to figure out how to work around it, in spite of it, and being there for people as they lost family members. And now we're really talking about the vaccine. I mean, it's been a polarizing discussion, but I'd love to be able to get people's perspectives in this very transformative time where we're all dealing with it. So it's great to have that blog up there.
Yeah, we can't run away from the issues. And I mean, it's definitely an issue, especially, we got to see where things are going in our society. With the vaccine being available for children 12 and up, what's it going to look like going back to school if your child hasn't been vaccinated? What's it going to look like, trying to go to different events? What's it going to look like trying to get on an airplane or going somewhere? So, I mean, these are all important discussions to have here. Also want to give a big shout out to Market Street Shoes out there in Ballard. You guys, let's give them some support. They've been supporting us over at Converge. You can go to marketstreetshoes.com. And, man, we got to lock in our time, Trey Holiday, so we can go out there and get some kicks.
Absolutely. I'm ready for it, man. Let's add to the wardrobe, buddy.
Yeah, I think they must know I wear these slides almost every day on set. Gotta get some shoes popping. So, man, we're joined today by Justin Carter of Capitol Hill Seattle blog, and he's had a lot of interesting headlines there. A few that we've actually touched on over here, and a few that we haven't. He's going to be joining us here after the break, talking about the Sawant recall. Always an update there. Talking about the mayor's $30 million. That's something that we covered. Then also gun violence up there on Capitol Hill. And what else are we talking about with Justin? Rising home prices there, and also the Garfield Superblock.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk to Justin about.
Absolutely, we do. And the thing is that Justin and the Capitol Hill Seattle blog and the team over there, they stay committed to these stories, man. One of the things I got to say is that, it takes all of us to be able to share all of the information that's out there. There's so many different things that are popping up. And I love that we have these sources that folks can go to be like, hey, this is where I'm going to get educated and informed, because it's hard for, a normal person working 9 to 5 or whatever, got kids, whatever, to stay engaged. So I love that we have these sources, man.
All right, good stuff. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're joined by Justin Carter of Capitol Hill Seattle blog. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey everybody, we all know that COVID-19 has had a major impact on everything this year, even energy bills. Puget Sound Energy understands the ongoing struggle that's facing its customers. And this is why they're offering a COVID bill assistance program of up to $2,500 per qualified customer. If you or anyone you know are currently behind on energy bills, please contact PSC today to discuss all of the assistance options available. Visit psc.com/COVID to learn more.
Hey guys, it's Besa Gordon from Converge Media. You can catch me on my show Rewind with Besa, which airs every other Saturday at 2 p.m. anywhere you watch Converge Media. Now, I know a lot of us still have questions about the COVID-19 vaccine. However, here are a couple things you don't have to question. Everyone 12 years and older in Washington State are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. It's free, and you don't even need insurance or citizenship status to get vaccinated. If you still have questions, and I know you probably do, you can visit kingcounty.gov/COVID for additional information. You can also call the King County COVID-19 call center at 206-477-3977 to get COVID-19 and the vaccination questions answered, get translation services if needed, set up an in-home vaccination appointment for yourself or someone you know may not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons. Look, with summer being here, now is the time to get all your COVID-19 vaccination questions answered so we can all get out the house and live our best lives again.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Curtis Delgado, please bring in Justin Carter. There he is. What's up, Justin?
Hey, Justin.
Good morning. How's it going?
Yeah, welcome back to the Morning Update Show.
Yeah, great to see you.
I brought my summer haircut.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Nice to know. Nice to know, buddy.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right, so man, you're gracious enough to give us some time here this morning. We'd actually been spotlighting quite a few articles that's been up there on the Capitol Hill Seattle blog. That's capitolhillseattle.com. So relevant news source for us, but we thought we would go to the source. So we're going to put up a bunch of different headlines here. I know that this first one here, we also have a video to play around it, which is the Garfield Super Block, but we'll go ahead and put this up first. Garfield Super Block project seeks to fulfill broken promises in the Central District. And this was actually on July 12th. So we'll throw it over to you first.
Great. Yeah, this is a story of making good on promises made to the community years ago. A great new asset was brought into the Garfield campus with the Quincy Jones Performing Center. But as part of that, there was supposed to be more. That block deserved some more love, some more money, and some more energy. And the Super Block project is here to make good on those promises, to try and improve things from a pedestrian and a community standpoint around the block, around Garfield High School and the Garfield Community Center there in the heart of the Central District.
All right, this is good stuff. I actually came out there yesterday with my trusty iPhone. You know, we got these cameras and stuff, but the best stuff, at least I think, still comes out of this iPhone. But I got a little bit of video here from yesterday, and I actually bumped into Trey Holiday and Councilmember Zahalai, who's already tweeting about this thing. We'll go ahead and play that video now.
So we are out here at Garfield Park educating people about the Garfield Super Block Legacy and Promise Promenade projects, where we're going to be redeveloping this park and bringing all the historic cultures that have really made the Central District out here into the park. Also remodeling this play structure and the bathroom. So it's a really exciting opportunity for community to get engaged in this amazing redevelopment of a park that so many of us consider so much love and home right here at Garfield.
This is the Garfield Super Block. You know, the CD is the heart of so many different communities. Historically, it's the heart of the Black community, the Jewish community, Italian community, Japanese community. So many different communities have called the Central District home, and over time they've been displaced and gentrified and pushed out. But what this is seeking to do is say, hey, this is still the heart of all of those communities, and representing them through art, through play, through community building. And it's so exciting to see the community come together and really shape that right here in the heart of the city.
We're like patronizing Black business.
We got Ma and Pop, so we got homemade popsicles, delicious strawberry flavor. We even got pops for your dog.
The great thing about this is that this is an effort for over 15 years of community members who said, The bathrooms are not accessible. How can we pull out the art from all of these cultures that have made the Central District home out here into the park? When we go inside of Garfield, when we look at Quincy Jones Auditorium and the remodeling of Garfield, we want this park to actually stand up to all of that remodeling. And when you go inside, there's an amazing mural of, the history of all the cultures that have really made the Central District home. We want to bring that out here, redevelop the corridor right here that we're calling the promenade. So when you walk across this, it's not lumpy, it has amazing art, and it invites you in. Wow, that was a really great event yesterday, Justin. And honestly, being part of this Garfield Superblock Coalition for me over the last couple of years has really informed me about, the effort here. And I know that your story there in the Capitol Hill Seattle block also captured that this is really a long time effort.
Sure. I mean, this is born of people keeping a fire alive, and that's an important thing. I mean, when promises get made, I think we talk often when I come on with you guys about, okay, well, what's happening next, and what do people need to do to kind of watch this and push it through? And this is an example of the vigilance it takes over, a matter of years to get something to happen, and there's still a lot of work to be done. This is a $5 to $7 million project if it reaches all of its potentials. And now you've got to hold city leaders accountable to coming up with the actual budget mechanics of paying for this. And Council Member Shama Sawant is moving forward on a request to get about $5.4 million set aside to get this started and to get it built. And that's the kind of thing that folks are going to have to ask for and push for as it goes through the legislative process here in the city.
Yeah, right now, folks have the opportunity to sign the petition. Shama Sawant's office is leading a charge to get, just $500,000 injected into this project from that $5.4 million that was set aside from the police budget. And it's exciting because, now this is the time for community members to get engaged. So I encourage everybody to check out garfieldsuperblock.org. Go ahead there and you guys can sign the petition.
All right. It's a good call to action for you there. Next up is when you talk about promises being made, what's next and the legislative process. We'll go ahead and put this next one up here. This is Mayor's $30 million Equitable Communities Initiative moves forward with plan for implementation before the end of the year. Pledge of another $100 million for BIPOC equity in 2022. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so like the super block, I am not an expert compared to the amount of depth that you guys have talked about these initiatives. But from the perspective of my coverage, I've been most interested in kind of watching from a kind of the next level as the Durkan administration and City Hall counts all the various points that are adding up to pledges made during the Black Lives Matter protests and promises made to the city and the community over time. There's double counting, triple counting sometimes for different initiatives. But this $30 million block goes toward the $100 million pledge that we've talked about around Jenny Durkan's promises from last summer, and would what city officials say could fund a whole round of investments pretty rapidly. I think the plan is to have requests for proposals in motion and actual progress on these projects by the end of the year, which also lines up with the end of Durkan's run as mayor. She's stepping aside. This is what you'd say on a larger level is a lame duck moment for her as she kind of finishes her work. But it's really important. It could be hugely important for a lot of smaller programs and really some large ones. And it also comes with some talk around what we do next. A pledge of another $100 million that still needs to be divided and separated out across programs, but another pledge of a huge amount of money for 2022's budget that the city could potentially be lined up to provide and use to continue to address these equity issues that they're trying to hit and trying to nail down and actually do some real stuff for on a pretty quick timeline, really, for city.
Right, and now the mayor's office has laid out a very ambitious timeline to get this money out to community before the end of the year. But it still needs to go into committee there at City Council, and it needs to be voted and approved by the whole council. Now, when you talk about a lot of times, man, we, the black folks, get caught up in this posturing between these politicians downtown. I know you're not too much of a betting man, but I mean, what do you think as far as this legislation actually getting through City Council, getting through committee, and getting approved and getting voted on to keep this expeditious timeline that this task force has laid out?
If I had to bet, I wouldn't bet $30 million on it. And I'd bet that the most likely outcome is probably we'll have a pretty good plan for the plan by the end of the year. That's a pretty Seattle outcome. That's a pretty modern, big city outcome. But I've been surprised over the last year by lots of things. So if there's actual real dollars spent in the community by the end of the year, that would be a happy surprise. I'd be happy to lose that bet, and I think you guys would be too.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think that so much of this has been strung along for the community. This is really the time for council to show up, man, and really pass this through at this point. I mean, how much more would they have to say after there's now been this committee put together, this initiative? I mean, they really dug in. They did their research, and we had Sharon Williams and we had Donna Mooney right here talking about the efforts that they did from that equitable development, committee, and how important it was that they were like, no, we now want to continue to see this process through. So I agree, man. It's time to push it through.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing we got to keep in mind is that there's the other 30 million, well, there's another 30. These 30s keep popping up, is over through Councilmember Morales' office, and that's in participatory budgeting, and that's absolutely not coming out this year. Right. That's going to come out maybe late next year because of the process that it's going through. So this is actually the shot right now to get this money on the streets. But City Hall is petty, and City Hall ain't got a problem being petty when it comes to black people. You know what I'm saying?
Sad,
so I mean, yeah, it's just the truth. So we'll see who presses the petty button down there. The hot potato now sits with City Hall. I mean, with the City Council. So we'll see. If Petty Pablo comes up. And they get real petty down there, or if this thing is actually going to get voted on and this money's going to get into the community. Got another one for you here. This is Sawant D3, your home district there. And I know this is something you've actually been following closely. In surprise move recall fight, Shama Solidarity will collect signatures for opponent campaign to force vote on the ballot. And then Councilmember Sawant actually signed a recall petition.
Yep, you bet you. There's a mayoral race going on. We've got campaigns for city council going on. But the biggest story of intrigue and the most exciting kind of moments in politics are playing out in this recall battle. And you kind of had to expect that. Shama Sawant is a pretty dynamic leader, dynamic politician. And she's up against a real fight for a lot of, or just everything that she believes in and what she's been working for. So this latest twist is kind of amazing. It's a sitting most veteran member of the council signing and deciding to champion the signature gathering process around putting a petition together to get the vote on the ballot. It's a strategic move. I think that after talking with the Sawant camp, they feel really strongly that the higher the turnout, the better they'll perform in a yes/no vote on whether in the District 3 voting population about whether she should be recalled or not. And so getting on the November ballot is very important for that campaign. And there's a high amount of distrust from the Shama Solidarity campaign about the recall Sawant campaign's actual interest in getting on the November ballot. I think there's a real belief that the recall folks would rather be part of a smaller turnout, maybe in a winter special election. And that's something that the Solidarity folks are most concerned about.
Well, I love that you really lay out the characteristics there for us to understand, this kind of turn of events a little bit here. But I do think that, when you talk to certain folks out there in community, there's a wide range of perspectives on this, Justin, honestly. And I can just say what I have heard is that, hey, yeah, there's a whole effort to get Shama out because of the things that have been passed since in this last legislative session. I mean, you see, now there's progressive tax. Now there's, this stop on evictions and all these different ways. I mean, this is a lot of the stuff that Shama Sawant's office has been pushing for. And, maybe some folks that are looking to, lose some money or some dollars based on some of those decisions are like, wait a minute, we got to try to stop this effort. We got to get Sawant out of there. So I agree that when we talk about, opening up the opportunity for more voices to be involved, I'm glad that they are saying outright that no, we know that what we've done here for this district, and we believe in the people of this district, that when they show up on the November ballot, that that something will lean in their regard versus wanting a smaller portion of the population to be voting. Because as we say here all the time, it's important for all of us to be utilizing our voices, and our vote is one of those voices, man.
Right. I mean, and just to put some balance to it, there's a lot of poor black people that are supporting the recall Sawant. And there's business owners that are also black, even right there on Union, who actually voted for Sawant's opponent. So it isn't just billionaires, rich white people, and this and that. There's regular black people, even right there on 23rd and Union, who have their own reasons for everything else. So, I mean, I'm just trying to have an objective voice here, because oftentimes in this race, it's like, oh, it's the rich billionaires trying to get Sawant out. And then on the other side, they're like, oh, well, Sawant's just full of the people supporting are radicals. There's a pot on both sides of this issue that are just normal working 9-to-5 people that either just support her or don't support her.
Yes, the bigger questions around the recall are also extremely exciting for a city to be dealing with. And I have to watch my enthusiasm for this kind of thing, covering it as a journalist and the kind of inside baseball part of these strategies and gambits and kind of quick change tricks and just those kinds of elements that are coming from the campaign. A lot of them are very cynical, and they're not. The optimism can be found though in people that care on both sides and all the sides around this, around how the city is being run and what the future of it is, and what even just simple things on how the city council does its job. People are engaged on it and they care. And so that's the part really I do try and keep my eye on as I'm covering this. It is easy to really get overly excited about strategic moves and kind of the wonky stuff that's going to make this recall process play out. But like you say, it comes down to real people's lives. It comes down to what Seattle is and how we want it to be. And that's in a way going to be on the ballot. It's going to be a yes/no vote deciding whether Shama Sawant stays on the council. And depending on how that turns out, she either stays and continues her role in the city, or the district is going to have a new leader. And that will be another fascinating process given how this part has played out.
Right, and a big part of, I know right now the next election for this would be November, but I remember earlier reporting, because Kevin Schofield was watching the Supreme Court there, and I remember every week he'd be like, still no decision, and the lateness of the decision coming out as well put everything into this timeline. I think it's a good strategy what the Sawant camp is doing, because for a recall Sawant, ideally they wanted a special election, or in like May or something like that. But the decision from the Supreme Court didn't come out until much later than anybody thought, and so for them, at least in my forecasting here, a special election definitely helps their efforts more, and I can definitely see why Councilmember Sawant is wanting to put this thing on the November ballot and a kind of a put up or shut up move.
Yeah. Look how much we all know about the recall process now. It's politics is funny. It's all of a sudden I do find folks around the neighborhood talking about this almost like the Mariners or something. We know a lot more about political machine and how the cranks get pulled now and the process than I would have thought most people were interested in. It's a pretty wonky political process. It changes the vote of the people, and it is really amazing to watch play out.
All right, good stuff. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we still got more headlines from you, including the fact that Uncle Ike has opened a liquor store there on 23rd and Union. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. We're joined by Justin Carter of Capitol Hill Seattle blog. That's capitolhillseattle.com. All right, moving along with some of these headlines here. It looks like there was a shootout, as you said up there. Shootout at Broadway and Pike sends one to the hospital. This was back July 11th. And one thing you noted in there was 25 shots fired, at least 25 shots fired. You wrote this, and also in there you talked about other incidents of rise in crime on Capitol Hill. Why don't you tell us all about it?
Yeah, this was a shooting Sunday morning at Broadway and Pike. It happened mostly around the gas station parking lot there, which is kind of a late night hangout area. It's a massive exchange of gunfire in the middle of a really densely populated area. But we know gun violence has been an issue across Seattle and across the county and really across the country. So this fits in with a lot of things we're seeing elsewhere. It does represent one shift is the Capitol Hill's nightlife activities has put a lot more people on the street, which police and community groups say is important for really reducing some types of crime. But it means a return of some of the things we haven't seen in a long time, like muggings, street fights, and unfortunately a couple of armed robberies that we've also reported on lately. That are things we just hadn't seen when people were mostly inside and not on the streets late at night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're so right to be able to tie it with, this kind of extended opportunity for folks to get out there in the nightlife. I mean, we always know Capitol Hill, Broadway in particular, has, historically been such an area of, extreme nightlife, right? Where it's just like, that's where some of the stuff was open the latest. I mean, so you have a lot of people that even if they're partying somewhere else, they may go grab a bite to eat somewhere along Broadway. So there's a lot more activity happening right now with kind of these COVID concerns subsiding and a lot of more people getting vaccinated. How do you think that, the city's going to be able to respond now? Because now it's like we got to get back on alert to a certain degree.
Yeah, in the past, it takes a couple incidents, and mayors of the past have decided then after someone gets shot or a few different incidents of gunfire around a specific part of the central city, like Capitol Hill or, at 21st and Union, where uh, there's homicides and those kinds of factors add up for the politicians in kind of a weird way, in that there's almost like a playbook that comes out. And the first thing is a community response where they'll make promises of increased patrols and those kinds of things. I think the reason I'm kind of talking about those cynically is I think lots of research and just watching this, we know that fixing these problems starts well before the summertime. This is about investments. These are about things like the $30 million we were talking about earlier to go to community resources and services that need to be there to help stem the things that add up to street violence. And so what we'll probably see on Capitol Hill is a wait and see, and see how the situations play out. Another incident would probably bring that community level response. The thing that happens next is also things like federal task force. They'll start to get involved and try and crack down more at like the maybe gang level or affiliated group level of crackdowns. It's that kind of a playbook from a law and order thing. But as we've seen that really it's about investments. It's about a longer term strategy to try and solve these problems. And the city, it just ebbs and flows until we get a better grasp on it.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned federal task force, because that's something people have been talking about and kind of whispering about at some level here in the city, and we see that some other cities in America are talking about intervention on a federal level, which will be interesting to see how it plays out here. I mean, the last time, probably not the last time, but one of the most memorable times with federal intervention was Operation Weed and Seed. And again, they did the weeding, but never the seeding. And when you talk about long-term investments, I think that one thing is that clearly we've been talking about these issues here with violence and around gun violence for a very long time, as long as we've been on air here in the Morning Update show, and even before that. But hopefully it's reaching a level of importance in downtown and City Hall, and policymakers and community leaders, and people really need to act with that sense of urgency in our city.
Yeah, and it does. You start to ask yourself, what does it take? And what would finally push things over the edge to where it's just a sustained effort to fix the problems of gun violence in the city. And I think we would agree that there is no answer. There's always political priorities that come and go, and that gun violence unfortunately ends up competing with other issues, even though it's such a devastating element and so life affecting, and just it's terrible. The losses from it can be so sudden and so intense. But yeah, it ends up being something that gets front burnered in the summer. Kids aren't in school. More people are gathering outside, and so we see it more. And so then we think we want to do some more about it, and then it fades again. And so it is something that it needs a more sustained push. It needs more money. It needs an effort that's not a federal task force that's looking to just bust people. But that's I don't know. I can't say I've seen any progress that's going to change that. And part of that's the tides of humanity, and part of that's who's in charge at City Hall.
Right. All right. Taking it to our neighborhood, back to the Central District, 23rd and Union. So it looks like Uncle Ike has made a move. Uncle Ike's new thing at 23rd and Union, booze. This is by you, Justin Carter, and this was on July 13th. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, Seattle pot king Ian Eisenberg has a new way to get intoxicated. You guys probably have heard about it. It's called bourbon, tequila, vodka. He's decided that
all your favorites.
He's decided that that the glass and bong business that he had set up in front of his pot shop there at 23rd and Union wasn't making the cut, and so did a quick shift to a bottle shop. It's he downplays it. Eisenberg, I talked with him earlier this week, and it's really like he says, it's just like every other liquor store you'd ever go into. You can see photos of it. It looks a lot like an Ike's pot shop. I guess what's going to be innovative about it, or more interesting about it, is it kind of makes a complex of intoxicants there at 23rd and Union, in an area that we remember for what I think the Seattle police called an open air drug market, but was it was an area known for crackdowns on drug sales on the street that affected the Black community still to this day. And so that history is still there. There's also the story of the liquor shop that used to be across the street. It's not quite, it was part of Midtown Center, but it was part of a small chain, really. Those Noble Spirits liquor stores are still around. So it didn't really put a small business out of business to have the Midtown development across the street demolish that old liquor store and make it move and open up this opportunity for Ike. But there we are. It's another part of the Uncle Ike's backstory that people in the community are going to look at, and some people are going to look at and say that they don't want to be part of, as far as giving it business, because of that kind of history of smaller businesses or people of color, or those kinds of elements being pushed aside by what Eisenberg has developed there.
Well, I think you're really right there. I mean, I know that I grew up right there off of Union. So for me, the what's going on now, and the fact that it's like, again, Black folks are being excluded from these opportunities of ownership right there on 23rd and Union is a huge deal. And I think that, this is why the efforts of, what's happening down there just on 24th, with Earl's and Communion is so key to so many that have historically called that area home, right? And I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in terms of who's patroning the business. Is this really about some of the newer community members that have joined the Central District based on maybe jobs bringing them here? I think there's still a large element, honestly, Justin, of people who are in the area that don't have that historical context, right? And so even when we're encouraging PCC to think about how they're going to be plugged in and more connected to community that has historically called it home, now you have another opportunity across the street where people may not really have that context. And so, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in community for me.
Right, and one thing that you hit in there in the article, and encourage people, especially if they're interested on this particular subject, is that the first Noble, at least at that location, it was some Black people who were operating the liquor store that was there, and they couldn't come back to the new development because there is a drugstore going in, like a Bartell's or a Walgreens, right? And that was part of Bartell's agreement with Midtown, was that someone else in the same building structure couldn't sell alcohol, and so then Noble didn't have a place to come back to in the new development, and there wasn't a place for them across the street either at LBB, because that's not a business that was under the agreement there for LBB. So it looks like Ike it's just landed perfectly in his lap, and there was a neighbor lady next door too. The neighbor lady's not there anymore.
Yeah, the neighbor lady bar has been displaced. There was a dispute we covered about some issues between Eisenberg, who was their landlord, and the neighbor lady bar regarding a whole litany of accusations back and forth. Eisenberg didn't want to renew their lease, and so the plan is for the neighbor lady to be part of the new development across the street as it opens up. Midtown Square is opening up to a bunch of new residents this summer, and I think the tenant or the commercial tenant spaces will be available as we move through the year. So we'll kind of see how that changes things. I mean, places like the neighbor lady will still have a home in the neighborhood, but as Trey mentions, that talking about like 400 new apartment units, all these new neighbors coming in, how many of them will be aware of the history? How many of them will care about the history? How many of them will, will that stop them from walking across the street and buying a bottle from Uncle Ike? I'm not sure. My guess is that he's going to see his business grow just because the neighborhood is growing so rapidly.
It's growing and changing, and the church was sold, huh? They just made a
Yes.
deal there on that church, $40 million deal on the church. In a few years, people move into the neighborhood, they'll never even really understand the story of the irony on 23rd. Last headline that we have from you, and it's talking about home prices, and of course, we've been reading home prices going up all across the city, but it looks like 7.9% there on Capitol Hill. You wrote this on July 14th. Go ahead and tell us all about it.
So this is part of the King County assessor getting everybody ready for sticker shock. Get out your tiny violins, right? All the Capitol Hill homeowners are finding out that their property taxes are going to go up again. The assessor calls out Capitol Hill for its 7.9% jump in property values in 2020, and notes that that's remarkable because one, pandemic, and two, it's a continued rise in an area that's already so expensive. The assessor lays the kind of driver of this jump, even through the pandemic, at the feet of homeowners and property owners who are reluctant to sell. Probably because if you sell, everything else is so expensive. Where on earth are you going to move? It's a story of the rich getting richer, but it's also, property taxes are a hugely important component of how King County pays for its services. And so I guess the good news, bad news, or good news is that there's going to be increased tax revenue for a lot of important services because property values have jumped.
Trey, one of the things that we hear from homeowners, black homeowners there in the Central District, especially the elders, is these it's good property value goes up, the taxes go up, and they're burdened by the taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this is why it's so important that the information around the programs that the city has around these opportunities for homeowners to, hey, fix up their homes, and the city will give you, zero interest loans, or they have grant programs. I mean, these are the kinds of things that I think the city has to make sure that information is out there in community even more so, because those homeowners are burdened by these tax increases. And you're right, Justin, about the rich getting richer. For some, it's not a big deal, right? They can go right into their drove of money and hey, it's fine, I got it. But there's a lot of homeowners that are really bearing the burden of this. And I think that's why what the city is trying to do in terms of creating some financial assistance programs in that regard, like doing weatherization programs, right? And keeping people's homes up to par and up to speed is part of that. But you're absolutely right. Oh, there's a lot of black homeowners that are really experiencing the burden of these tax increases.
Yeah, I mean, some of our grandparents, they bought them homes, for $50,000 way back when, and they've been on a fixed income since way back when. And the taxes is crazy. I do know that the assessor has some programs, and I'm gonna go and research that and be able to give that information out to community members. But whoo, so that means that the house you in right now is worth about $4-5 million now, right?
Yeah, at least. And are you looking to buy? I won't be so reluctant if you've got the cash. It is. I hear the issue too around costs for Capitol Hill homeowners also. I'm often more skeptical in this area around it because you're talking to someone who's in a $5 million house who's complaining about that tax burden sometimes. But yeah, no, and that's an issue here also. And I do, this information from the assessor was really limited. I think asking about Central District's increases and taking a look at maybe more hyper-local, more broken down areas of in the zip codes where the values change would be pretty illuminating. And so that's something worth more. I got more work to do, it sounds like, as I dig into these numbers.
All right, good stuff. Justin Carter, as usual, man, thank you so much for joining. We'll get a wide view over here, Curtis. There we go. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. You know, Justin is, I think, our longest reoccurring guest and journalist here on the Morning Update Show, man. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, so much appreciation. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you so much. It's great to be part of this show. I love it.
All right. Talk to you soon. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we're talking about a youth achievement center there in South Seattle. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My co-host, Trey Holiday.
Hey.
What's up? Oh, it's all good. So, man, this Youth Achievement Center, right? And I know that you actually know more about it than I do, but came across the video there. They're having an event on Sunday out there in South Seattle. So we'll play the video here first about the Youth Achievement Center, and then we'll talk about it.
We decided to start a program called the Youth Consortium. We grabbed about 25 or so young people from the community, all from different backgrounds, right here from the city, young people that are facing criminal charges, some that aren't, some that are in school, some that dropped out of school, like all different backgrounds. And our goal was to teach them how important local government is. We did a canvassing of the street. The kids came back and said, we need a place for young people to live, to get services, somewhere to get help with education. Gramai was running for the King County Council seat. And so when Gramai got that seat, he reached out to us. That's when we put it out there. Hey, I was like, hey, these kids are saying this is what they need. He came back with that and let us know what was going on.
Lots of young people came together through organizations like Creative Justice, Community Passageways, and they told us what they most need in South Seattle is housing and services for young people.
But here we are at this process, getting ready to build a youth achievement center that can house up to 76 young people in one facility, and then have a resource center right next door to it that the kids can come in and get all the resources they need.
We want young folks to tell us what gaps in programs and service providers exist that we need to be pursuing to make sure that those things are in that building.
A lot of steps to go through, but we're in the process right now, raising the capital, transferring the land, and designing the building and the operations itself.
You know, we're in the midst of an uprising that is forcing us as a nation to face even more deeply the ways in which our systems and institutions very intentionally marginalize and disenfranchise Black, Indigenous, youth of color.
We want you guys to join us, to help us, because it's for your community, for your own people, for your city.
It's crucial to make sure that our youth know that we have their back and we're going to be there for the long run.
And the other thing is just building affordable houses for teens who don't have any houses, any shelter to go to.
Youth Achievement Center is literally going to be providing healing and all these different opportunities for the community that may not be possible without your support. We're funding this project because it's, directly impacting the community and making it a better place.
It's taken so many different players, so many different people involved in the community to come together, bring this vision to life, and really create something special that we don't currently have in South Seattle.
Put your money in a place where you're not only doing a one-time give, you're doing a continuous give to see continuous growth from young people to be successful, healthy, whole, and happy.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Join the movement to build the Youth Achievement Center.
Amazing, amazing. And you know what? I'm just so glad to hear that, you know, there's a direct investment happening for this project. You know, we have Adam Smith, Representative Adam Smith, who just put it out there another $1 million toward this project. And we know that development projects need a lot of money. So there's still opportunities for you guys to be a part of this engagement process and this development process. One of the things I love that was said really there in that video is that all of these things are happening simultaneously, right? It's not just about the youth having their voice, but it's also about connecting it to the operations that are going to be in the resource center, how they're going to be able to tie together the programming from the housing space over to the resource center. So this is an amazing project happening right there in South Seattle.
Yeah, no, you know, school board director Brandon Hersey always says, the youth is the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we need to make more investment in young people, you know, here in the city. I don't think that anybody would deny that. And very interesting there, too, is housing on one side and resources there on another. Now, there's an event that's going on Sunday, right? I think we have an overlay there. It's the block party for Youth Achievement Center. And that's Sunday from 12 to 3. They're at MLK Way South and South Angeline Street. Lots of stuff, DJ, food. You're gonna find me there.
Oh yeah.
if they got the food, we're gonna be there for that. It's gonna be a very active weekend this weekend because the reunion on Union is Saturday. This event there's on Sunday. Reunion on Union is Saturday, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But you give people a teaser. What can they expect?
You know, this is a beautiful event. I mean, this is about really celebrating the family cultures. I mean, the history of these amazing families that are central to the CD. When we talk about Reunion on Union, it's bringing the people back that really, you know, called Union home, called the Central District home. And this year, it's exciting because they're really going to be elevating those family legacies, right? What was your family about right here in the Central District? How did they, provide some information and energy into making the Central District what it was back then? And I just love that we're going to be able to uplift these amazing legacy families, man. It's going to be beautiful. A huge dinner, you know, people can come on out. So I'm glad we'll be able to uplift this tomorrow.
Yeah, and what time is that on Saturday, by the way?
Saturday, it's happening from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, DJ, you know what I mean? It's going to be a lively event taking over 24th Avenue. So everything is permitted for us to kind of just shut down the street and be out
you got a permit?
I know.
You guys rolling with permits these days?
Hey, for that one, we wanted to make sure that we had that street. Since it's residential, right, we want to make sure everybody was aware. So, yeah.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. And I wanted to give you another opportunity as well. And tomorrow we'll have an info slide we can put up there. The Garfield Superblock.
Yes. Garfield Superblock, you guys. This is really engaging the community right now. Again, over a 15-year effort. I encourage you guys, go to garfieldsuperblock.org. Look at the petition there so that this money can come into the project. One of the last things I really want to say about this project is because it is owned by the city, the property itself is owned by the city as a public park, but yet this whole process is being driven by community. So much of what Justin Carter wrote there in the article is that the broken promise is because the city was supposed to continue this project, and yet it's the community voices and community effort that are keeping this project alive. So this $500,000 that Shama Sawant's office is encouraging and leading an effort in terms of getting voted on by city council is because this project doesn't fit any other real funding sources out there. Again, it's not community owned project, so it doesn't fit equitable development initiative. It isn't going to be, regulated by one organization. So there's a lot of loopholes that we found for the coalition this year that has been like, wow, we don't fit any other funding sources. So we really do encourage you guys to join this effort, bring your voice to it, a quick, easy petition, click a couple buttons, and make sure that your elected officials are hearing from you with regard to getting this money into the project.
All right, we're getting up here on the top of the hour. Program, yeah, I got you, Curtis. Thank you. That's what you're supposed to do. So Curtis is a producer on Clapback Culture. We're going to put up this overlay right now. Make sure And if you don't watch, Curtis going to come find you. Clapback Culture tonight, 7 o'clock. And we've got Mike Davis, but actually Basa Gordon is filling in for Julia Jesse tonight. So it's going to be a real lively show. We already know Basa brings her own bag of magic. Mike Davis and Basa Gordon tonight at 7 o'clock, Clapback Culture. And thank you, Mr. Director. Appreciate it. Any last words before we get out of here, Trey?
You know, I mean, I just love that we always have folks on this show that inspire me, as Justin Carter does, to see yourself as part of the solution. You know, we need these stories out there, and journalism is such a huge part of shaping how people understand what's going on around them. And so I'm always inspired by folks that are right here on the Morning Update Show. I encourage you guys to be an inspiration for others as you find yourself a part of amazing solutions happening around you. Dig in, dive in deep, and bring your time, talent, and treasure to these efforts.
It's dope. Time, talent, treasure. What? All right. Well, again, reminder, 7 o'clock tonight, Clapback Culture, Mike Davis and Basa Gordon. And, man, tomorrow is Feel Good Friday, and we're going to have Laura Kleiss here from The Intentionalist. Is going to be here talking about, man, how you can get intentional with your spending, especially now a lot of places are opened up. It's always a good time when Laura comes here. We always find out about so many businesses that we never knew before. And yeah, on that note, I want to remind everybody to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing. Dealer than heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.